You're called to create.
A post-apocalyptic giraffe astronaut generated. Genghis Khan playing a guitar solo. Pixel art generated. A man holding a delicious apple. What's with his hands? Why can't AI art make hands? I asked an artist who has taught thousands of people how to draw hands from imagination.
Before someone becomes or starts training to be an artist, like officially training, it's pattern recognition. You just grow up seeing a whole bunch of hands and you start knowing what hands look like.
You learn how things look by living in the world and recognizing patterns. An AI is similar, but has key differences. Imagine an AI is like you, but trapped in a museum from birth. All the machine has to learn from are the pictures and the little placards on the side.
Artists, in order to draw something complicated, we tend to simplify things into basic forms. And so when you look at a hand, you pretty much have the big blocky part of the palm, right? You have the front, you have the back, and then you have the thickness. And you can pretty much just make that into like a square with some thickness to it.
Then an artist can add all the style and texture and detail they want. AI works differently. Look at this hand. The shapes are bizarre, but the AI has done a great job showing the light and texture here. Remember, the AI knows how things look, but not how they work. So these patterns in pixels are easy to understand. It never learned, however, that fingers don't really bend like this. 3 big reasons that hands are tough for AI art models: the data size and quality, the way hands act, and the low margin for error. For the data size, let's go back to the museum idea. The museum that robot hangs out in, it has a ton of rooms dedicated to faces, but not so many rooms for hands. That means it has less to learn from. There are a ton of great hand datasets that can really understand hands, like this one with 11,000 hands, but these may not have been used to train the AI that makes art. That data scarcity combines with the quality and complexity of the data.
What they say is there's an image and there is a person in the image and the person is holding an umbrella. You don't give the machine a lot of clues saying this is a person holding the umbrella. The thumb is going from one side of the handle and the fingers are curled, and the thumb is covering the index finger, but not the other ones.
All that is made worse because hands do lots of things compared to, say, faces.
So there's a pretty common like portrait photo face. There are a lot of these photos online, and the thing is everything's very well centered, right? Like eyes are always like around here, like there's always this order.
That's not true of hands, which can do this and this and this. We care a lot about hands and need them to be perfect. There is a low margin for error. But because the model doesn't understand hands, hasn't seen many, and because hands act weird, it makes pictures that are like hands it's seen in the museum, but not an exact hand. That's good enough for a ton of stuff, but not hands.
I think they're like spending lots of time on like some things that you appreciate, which is why you like the images, and a lot of stuff that you don't actually even notice.
And they are working on 2 things. First, they have the AI look at a ton more pictures, which requires more computing power.
They're trying to solve that on a big scale because if you want to train on more than a handful of images, if you want to train on more than 100 images, this would take tremendous resources from you to retrain the model itself.
The other solution might be to invite more people into the museum.
There's an interesting analog. So like, have you heard of like ChatGPT? The big difference was that it basically used human feedback. So like they generated many sentences and asked people to rate which ones are good and which ones are not good. They basically fine-tuned the model so that it would generate sentences that are convincing to people. I guess it would require a lot of engineering to get people to label so much data. But I think if we could just get like people to rank how good the images are generated by these models, then like a lot of these issues will go away actually. Because they're just training the models to do what people like.
It's not just the hand. Teeth and abs, anything where there's like a pattern, a large amount of something, it doesn't know the rule of there are this many because it's trained on different amounts.